Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. You ready to go back
Yes,
in time? All
always.
right, so today we're diving into ancient empires of Europe.
Okay,
We've got some excerpts from this book,
awesome.
and we're going to look at some of the most influential empires in all of European history.
Sounds good.
So we're going to be jumping all over the place,
Okay,
thousands of years,
yeah.
and just one deep dive.
Let's do it.
So hopefully you're ready for that.
Yeah.
We're going to cover some seriously cool stuff.
Okay.
Legendary cities, epic wars. Really, the impact of these empires is still felt today.
Absolutely.
So let's dive right in, huh?
Let's do it.
All right, so first up, we've got the Minoans, the masters of the sea.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard much about the Minoans.
I have a little bit.
Yeah, so they're the oldest civilization that we're going to talk about today.
Right.
A little mysterious, too.
Right. Yeah.
So what can you tell us about them?
Sure. So the Minoans flourished on the island of Crete.
Okay.
They were known for their advanced seafaring skills and their incredible trade networks that they built.
So they were really sailing all over the Mediterranean.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't just like sailing around. They built a huge maritime network
Wow.
connecting the Aegean Sea with other parts of the Mediterranean. Um,
So there
and
must have been a ton of
oh,
cultural exchange happening.
absolutely. Imagine the cultural exchange, all the trade that must have flourished.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. So speaking of incredible,
Yeah.
you can't talk about the Minoans without talking about their palaces,
Oh, yeah.
especially Knossos,
Yes.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, this place was huge.
It's enormous, a sprawling complex,
It
corridors.
sounds like a maze.
It is. It's like a labyrinth.
That makes sense with the whole Minotaur myth.
It all ties in.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, but even with their maritime strength
Hmm.
and this really advanced architecture, eventually they decline.
They did, unfortunately. It's a common theme we see, the
Yeah.
rise and fall of empires.
Right.
So with the Minoans, it was likely a combination of factors, maybe a volcanic eruption and the rising power of another civilization, the Mycenaeans.
Okay, so the Mycenaeans.
Yeah.
These are the folks that give us all those epic tales of the Trojan War, right?
Yes, exactly.
So these weren't just fictional characters in Homer's poems?
No, no. So while we can't take, all those stories as literal fact,
Right.
the archaeological evidence does seem to support that there was a real conflict
Wow.
between Mycenaean Greece and the city of Troy.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. The Mycenaeans were a warrior culture for sure.
They sound pretty intense.
They were, you look at their cities, they were fortified. They had this very intricate armor.
Wow.
And their decline is really fascinating
Yeah.
because it ties into a much larger event, the Late Bronze Age collapse.
The Late Bronze Age collapse, what was that?
Well, it's actually something that's puzzled historians for centuries.
Wow.
What could cause such widespread upheaval across the entire Mediterranean?
Yeah.
It's still debated to this day.
But wow.
But we're probably looking at kind of a perfect storm of factors.
Like what?
Well, you've got climate change, societal unrest, possibly migrations,
Oh, wow.
invasions, all culminated in this period of chaos and the collapse of many established powers,
Including the Mycenaeans.
including the Mycenaeans. That's right.
Man, it really makes you think how these
Yeah.
empires are at the height of their power.
Right.
But it can all just
Absolutely. It shows how fragile they can be.
vanish. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that brings us to what is probably the most well-known empire in European history, right?
Yeah, I would say so. The Roman Empire.
The Roman Empire, I mean, everybody's heard of the Romans'
Yeah.
vast territory.
Oh, yeah.
Their influence on law, language, I mean, even today.
Absolutely. And their culture, just massive.
What set them apart from everyone else?
Well, I mean, obviously military might was a huge factor.
Right.
But the Romans were also masters of administration and
Yeah.
infrastructure. They built these incredible roads and aqueducts.
Yeah, you always hear about the Roman roads.
Exactly. And cities across this vast territory that they had.
Right.
And it created this incredible network that just facilitated trade and communication and control.
So it wasn't just military power.
Right.
It was also,
Exactly. It was effective governance
okay,
that really allowed them to flourish for centuries.
and they really did last for a long time.
They did.
I mean, but nothing lasts forever, right?
Right. Unfortunately, not even the Roman Empire.
So what happened? I mean, what led to their decline?
Well, like a lot of these, there are many theories.
Okay.
And it's likely a very complex interplay of internal and external pressures.
Like what kind of pressures?
Well, you see things like economic instability,
Okay.
overexpansion of their territory.
Oh, so growing too fast.
Yeah, growing too fast, too much to manage,
Right.
political corruption.
Oh, yeah.
And this constant threat of invasions. Well, a lot of them were from Germanic tribes.
Okay.
So it really is a reminder that even the mightiest empires
Right.
are susceptible to internal decay and external forces.
Yeah. So that's the end of the Romans.
Well, not quite.
What do you mean?
So the Roman story doesn't just end with the fall of Rome.
Okay.
The eastern part of the empire actually continued to thrive for centuries.
That's
The Byzantine Empire.
the Byzantine Empire.
It's almost like history hit the remix button.
Right. Like a sequel.
Exactly, a sequel, yeah.
That's really interesting. So tell me more about this Byzantine Empire.
Okay, so with their capital in Constantinople,
Okay.
the Byzantine Empire was this bridge between the ancient world
Oh.
and the medieval era.
Wow.
They preserved Greek and Roman knowledge, they codified Roman law,
Wow.
and they developed this rich artistic and cultural tradition of their own.
So their influence was mostly in the East.
Well, they did have a huge impact on Eastern Europe
Okay.
and also the development of Christianity.
Right.
They were a major power player for centuries.
But they eventually fell too, right?
They did. They eventually succumbed to the rising power of the Ottoman Turks.
When was that?
That was in 1453,
Okay.
and it really marked a significant shift
Hmm.
in the political and religious landscape of Europe.
Wow. Okay. Well, for our final stop on this whirlwind tour of empires,
Yeah.
we've got an empire with a name that I think is kind of funny.
Yeah.
The Holy Roman Empire.
It's a name that always sparks debate.
I can see why.
It was founded by Charlemagne in 800 AD.
Okay.
And while it claimed to be, connected to the legacy of Rome,
Right.
it wasn't really an empire in the traditional sense.
So what was it?
Well, think of it more as a kind of a loose collection of Germanic and Central European states,
Okay.
kind of a complex web of alliances and rivalries.
So not a unified
No, it wasn't centralized.
empire like Rome.
No, not like Rome, no. But it did play a significant role in European politics and culture for centuries.
Okay. And it lasted until...
Until 1806.
What happened in 1806?
Well, Napoleon,
Oh, right.
he dissolved it.
That's a pretty dramatic ending.
Yeah, very dramatic. And it really symbolizes the end of an era,
Yeah.
the transition from the medieval world to the
Right.
modern age.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We've gone from the Minoans
Right.
sailing the seas
Masters of the sea.
to the mighty Romans,
Yep.
the resilient Byzantines,
Yeah.
and this really complex
Yeah.
Holy Roman Empire.
It's amazing to see how each of them left their own
Right.
mark on history.
And they really did. It's incredible. It makes you think how these
Really?
empires from so long ago
Right.
still shape Europe today.
Absolutely. What can we learn from their successes,
Right.
failures?
That's something for everyone to think about.
Yeah.
And, we've only really scratched the surface.
That's right.
There's so much more to discover.
Always more.
But that'll have to do it for today. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure having you. We'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.